All right, we are about to watch Deltobowl VI. I've already done a preview video. If you've watched that, I'm very excited about this matchup. To give a quick version of the recap as I move around the screen a little. There we go. Just didn't like that white bar at the top. To give a quick recap, I think Delial and Seto are at the very worst two of the five best players of all time, quite possibly the top two, at least tournament players. They are both spectacular. They have very different styles. They both peaked in 2007, 2008, though each have also just been excellent throughout many, many years. I think they play really different stylistically. Both of them, I think there's a good case that they're the two players with the best feeling for combo and just how that works. Delial being this, I made this comparison to Federer and Nadal, where Delial's Federer, this very smooth, synergistic, everything comes together and looks pretty, especially when it's working player. And Seto Nadal, this player who is more defensive, but also hits winning shots out of nowhere, right? Where Nadal puts so much topspin on every shot that any forehand just has the potential to be a winner, just unmanageable by the opponent. And I think Seto kind of does some similar plays where he often looks like he's playing defensive or making kind of distant moves with weak numbers facing out, but the combos are really perfectly calibrated and work beautifully. So I think these are two wonderful players. They've also both, over time, described the other one as better than themselves. So here we have Seto on the right with the blue cards, the Louch, and Delial, the thin white duke, on the left with the red cards. Let's look at some hand stuff. A few things. One is 8982 and 1898 are a combination I intend to use in my game, and also that both Metis and DJ used in their semifinal match. So this is a common pairing. They're, I think, the two most powerful cards available, and Delial is using both, and Seto is using one of them. This means so far we've seen 4 hands, and so potential to have seen these cards a total of 8 times, and we've seen them 7 of 8, so very clearly being identified as strong. Looking at directional weaknesses, let's look at Delial's hand first. There's a 2 to the left, a 1 up. This is clearly a better hand going up and down, right? It has a 9 up followed by an 8, bunch of 7s. It has a 1, but having one weak number in a direction, usually not too costly. Down, it's got multiple 9s and a 6. Great going down. To the left, it has a 9, then an 8, and then it drops off. 6, 5, and 2 are potentially not that strong. Though Seto's hand, as we'll get to in a moment, also not great going side to side, so I'm not sure how that's going to play out. And going to the right, there's a 9, an 8, and then a 6, 5, 4. So again, a drop-off. Delial, hand, without looking at the opponent's hand, would like the game to be up-down. Seto's hand, on the other hand, may be similar. Down, it has 2 9s, 2 7s, and a 6. That's very strong. Up, it goes 9, 8, 7, 7, 1. Pretty strong. To the left, it goes 9, 8, 6, 5, 2. That drops off much quicker. Again, once we start hitting 5 and 6 is when I consider it dropping into weaker numbers on this kind of set. Because I think 9s, 8s, and 7s are going to be common enough in each direction. For instance, if you had a hand of 9, 8, 7s, and then like 1 or 2 was the last number, or 2 or 3, I think it would be pretty easy to basically have 7 plus 3 or 4 times in every direction. And lastly, to the right, there's no 9. That's interesting. 2 8s, 7s, 5, 4. So both hands really inherently for them wanting to be up-down, which kind of means we should probably be checking more how they compare than the raw strengths, because their strengths and weaknesses are in the same directions. Perhaps this also means, in general, if I notice my opponent is good up-down and I was good side-to-side, I would be more likely to put cards in 4 or 6 than I normally am, because that often dictates that side-to-side is really important. Another thing that a player like Yevon might do is notice Seto's hand has no 9 to the left, and thus, no 9 to the right, sorry, no 9 to the right, and might start somewhere like 4, saying you cannot find safety in 1 or 7. Now, what else is going on? Seto's hand looks somewhat built to play 8-5, 9-5, and 2 as a potential starter, with 1-8, 9-8 ready to recapture from both sides. I don't tend to like this kind of plan, but it looks like one built into the hand. Here, it doesn't really exist. 7-6, 8-6 kind of cuts it off. What might, however, exist is 8-5, 9-5, and 2 with the intention to just capture by committee, capture with other cards. For instance, 9-8, 7-2 could capture from 1, 7-4, 7-9 could capture from 3, and there is some control over Delial's potential captures of those. 9-4, 9-5 can be comboed by 7-7, 6-6, or if in the right square, 9-8, 7-2, and 8-9, 8-2 can be comboed by 9-8, 7-2 if it controls those, if it hasn't been used yet. There's also the fact that if he plays 8-5, 9-5, and 2, Deli won't have a safe move in either 1 or 3. Both of those are sufficiently covered. Okay, and we've seen it. It did look like what the hand was built to do. I tend not to like this kind of starter very much, but that's just me. One thing that comes to mind for Deli, and he did mention this in hand building, is he thought 9-4, 9-5, and 7-5, 6-9 have nice synergy. And so I kind of immediately like the look of 7-5, 6-9, and 4. And it might be a bad idea. I'm not entirely sure. But it sets up a threat in 5, and also it creates a safety for 8, 9, 8, 2, and 7. But I think it's probably not that good. Because I think Seto will block 1, Deli can go 7, and Seto blocks 5. And I'm not sure that it's achieved much. If I'm Deli, I definitely want to hold on to 7-6, 8-6 here. I think that covers a lot of things. Sadly, it does not cover 7s down. But 8, 9, 8, 2 is probably your best card for doing that. Well, this might be tricky. This might be tricky. If you play in 1 or 3 with an 8 down, I think Seto will be in a likely difficult position if he doesn't capture. And so can you set up play against the captures? I don't really see it. I think 9-8-7-2 can capture pretty comfortably. Eight, 9, 8, 2, and 7 is just fundamentally a pretty powerful corner. On the other hand, Deli's hand can't actually take it back from 8. So maybe not so powerful. So another move that comes to mind is a little weird because I said we didn't want to use this card, but 7-6, 8-6, and 1. And the point is, if Seto takes 9-8, 7-2, and 4, we can play 8-9, 8-2, and 7. And no, I don't think this is a great idea, but my point was, if Seto then takes the capture in 5 with 7-4, 7-9, we have a same in 8 with 7-5, 6-9. But I think there Seto just goes 1-8, 9-8, and 3, and should have a promising position where Deli has to be careful to tie. Because it's an L where Deli has no threat in 5 as the second turn player. So not a great idea there. But I'm trying to use the fact that Seto's hand doesn't have certain recaptures. Another idea is start with something like 1-8, 9-8 in 3. Because if Seto captures that 9-8, 7-2, and 6, we can then play one of the cards with an 8 down and 1. That will now be safe. We've overworked the 9-8, 7-2, and we'll have 2 cards safe in 1 and 2, and Seto only has 1 locked in card in 3. If I didn't mention in advance, I am very biased in this matchup. I really want Deli to win. He's a buddy. I will be looking from both players' perspectives, but it will likely be very clear where my bias is, and I should be, upfront about that. I kind of like the look of 1898 and 3. If Seto replies in... Sorry, I received a message. If Seto replies in 1 to a move in 3, Delhi doesn't have a great setup in 6. But he will have a threat in 4 against whatever Seto is put in 1. So my instinct right now is 1898 and 3. I still sort of aesthetically like 7, 5, 6, 9, and 4, but I don't think it does much. I think Delhi is the kind of player where he might, like, I don't know, what's a good example of a Delhi move? Like 8, 9, 8, 2, and 8, right? Saying my 9, 4, 9, 5 can retake that really nicely in multiple ways. I set up a plus in 5 that's not shared. I don't use up a card that is needed to control the squares around 1 and 3. I think that's a kind of move Delhi might make. He made a similar move against Turds in a match when I was running my tournaments. And it looks like a decent idea. Usefully, Seto cannot take from 9 and Delhi can, and Delhi sort of threatens to play one of the 7-ups and 7 after that, because that's a bit difficult for Seto to play off. But maybe actually after putting the 8 up, 1, 8, 9, 8, and 4 sets up a plus for Seto and 5. So, he goes for 7. Very interesting. Okay. If Seto takes this, Delhi has no recapture. I should write down the moves to this just so I have the record, though it will likely be easy to put back together. So we have Seto, Delhi all. Started with 8, 5, 9, 5, and 2. Then 8, 9, 8, 2, and 7. So he's sacrificing a card here, right? But if that card is taken, Delhi gets a card back. And it actually sets up a combo I saw through a different line, where if 1, 8, 9, 8, and 4, Delhi goes in 1, Seto can recapture 4 from 5, but it has to be 7, 4, 7, 9, and that gives Delhi all a same in 8 with 7, 5, 6, 9, because the 7 and the 9 match. So it is hard for Seto to approach immediately, but Delhi not having that recapture means there's definitely potential for setups in the air for Seto. 9, 8, 7, 2, and 5 jumps out as a move. The more I look at this, the more I think this is promising. If I was Seto here, I would be very tempted to try to find clarification in 3. And the reason for that is, I think a move in 5, I feel like I'm going to run out of power. If I use 9, 8, 7, 2, which is a card that sets some stuff up, I also give up a lot of my potential to take up things, right? I give up my potential to take 1, 8, 9, 8, and 3. If I use 1, 8, 9, 8, and 5, I am giving up my ability to capture in 4. I'm giving up my downward sweeper. I really don't want to use that. If I use 7, 4, 7, 9, then I give up safety in 8 that I probably don't want to give up for not that much. Maybe it's okay. It does set up a plus in 4 for 1, 8, 9, 8. 7, 7, 6, 6 is probably the card I want to get most out of my hand, but then 1, 8, 9, 8, and 1 is potentially an issue because we'll lose coverage of that. So moves in 5 tend to be best if you can keep coverage of a lot of squares. If there's a card that sets up synergies or gets a card that you don't need in your hand out. But I don't really believe in that there. And that leads me to thinking 9 is sort of a structurally sensible move, but I didn't see anything that appealed to me there. I think if you play something like 7, 4, 7, 9, you are now over-reliant on 1, 8, 9, 8 for everything. It's your card in 4, it's your card in 6, it's your card in 8. So my thought was, if you start in 3, you can potentially force clarification, right? And specifically, now that the 8 up is gone, if you go with a 7 down and 3, Delhi has trouble taking that with 9, 4, 9, 5 because you have the combo back. And you're going to start building a more complex position. Now, what I think Delhi will do there if, 7479 or 9872 in 3, or even 7766 in 3, because 9872 also controls the 9495 capture in 6. What I think Deli will do there is Deli will then go in 4. And I've seen him do this before, where he has liked to set up in 4 against a side starter, but realized he can waste a turn first, or sort of spend a turn, draw a card out of their hand, and then hit them with the setup. So I think there is a good chance if Seto went in 3, which is my instinct, that Deli would then play 7569 in 4, and that looks really strong to me. The one downside of that move is if he does then follow up with 9495 and 5 with the same, if Seto goes in 6 after, Deli has nothing to do in 8. And so that could be a reason this is not so dangerous for Seto. My instinct here is to think about 3, 5, or 9, as well as checking the capture, because you should always check captures, lesson brought over from chess. I'm going to see if I've received any messages. I have not, so I have nothing to rip off besides my own thoughts. But I would guess... I watched, Seto played some warm-up games yesterday, very late at night against Piggy Man on level 9. So specifically, clearly trying to, play randoms to get used to the set. And Seto played fantastic. But we did have a structure like this, and Seto went in 5 in that structure. So I don't know how much to take from a single game sample, but we know 5 is a square Seto looks at in these setups. I think Deli made a good move. I think it was probably better than my ideas in 3. Not sure. It looks nice. I think it's clever. I was really thinking about going 987s on this rule set, and the more I looked at them, the more they felt clanky and uncomfortable. I did not consider going 977s at all, and I decided not to go with 7766s. I just think they're too limited in power, right? Like, we can see the 7766, if it lines up with a 9, it has use, but if you're going to chuck a card in 5, that looks like the card to chuck. And I just think it kind of always will be the least powerful thing in your hand. I also don't like 7686 that much, but it has a little more play here. So these are very much not the hands I'd have chosen, but that doesn't mean they're bad, and we can see a lot of synergies within them. 7686 plays well with 8s up that 8982 offers, with 9s down that come with 1898 and 9495. There's lots of reasons these cards go together, and it is interesting to see players use cards I'm choosing not to use. And I really wanted 987s to be the way to go, so I'm kind of sad that they don't seem to have been. Alright, low on time, he has picked up a card, 1898. 1898 could go in 1, 5, or 3. 1 seems kind of silly, so 5 or 3. He just captures. Okay. So he thinks he's going in 3 after Deli goes in 1. Okay, that makes sense. Deli has no combo in 1. So if Deli plays... Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Or at least doesn't matter for a first look. The question is, do you want to flip 2 or not? Does it matter if you flip 2? And the one thing flipping 2 does is it means Seto cannot play 9872 and 3, because Seto will have to capture 2 back. I'm not sure it matters whether Seto can or can't do that. I'm not sure that's a card that is all that relevant. What about 7, 5, 6, 9, and 8 here? Does that do anything? The point is, if Seto occupies 1, Deli can go 1, 8, 9, 8, and 5. And he doesn't set up Seto to have anything in 5. I guess he sets up 9, 8, 7, 2, and 5, but given that that never hits 4, that's okay to set up. Um, so Seto goes in 1, Deli goes in 5. He flips the bottom and middle rows, so he's up 6-4. Is that winning? Seto can't go in 9 there, because 9-4-9-5 will go in 6. He can't go in 6 there, so he has to go something in 3. And then if he's held on to 9-8-7-2, Deli goes 9. If he's held on to 7-4-7-9, Deli goes 4. I think 7-5-6-9-8, if Seto goes 1, I think Deli wins. I could be wrong. I don't want to bring up the analysis machine, because I think it's more interesting if I give my thoughts and where I'm looking. But 7-5-6-9-8 looks like a really appealing move to me. And I like that 1-8-9-8 is good in both 1 and 5, because it means you can leave those squares open and play elsewhere with other cards. It's a nice thing to have 2 squares for. So I like the look of 7-5-6-9-8. Deli can also, of course, go 1. If he sticks something in 1, say 7-6-8-6, that's probably not a card that's playing well anymore. Seto goes something like 7-4-7-9-3. And the point is, Deli has no captures. 9-4-9-5-6 is comboed back. And there's no follow-up there. So Deli would be under pressure to find a good move there. Note, if Seto takes back the 7-4-7-9, the 9-4-9-5 Shiva is the only capture. If he plays 7-7-6-6 in 3, Deli has a lot more captures, and probably at least one of them is pretty good. Just playing the odds here, not really thinking it through. So I do think Deli wants to capture 2 to force 7-4-7-9. Because if he gets 7-4-7-9 out of the hand in 3, there's no threat of a capture in 5 on 1-8-9-8. And then I think probably Deli's best move is... I was thinking 8. Maybe not. I'm not sure about that. I like the look of 8 more than 1. I think the sort of problem here is 1, 3, and 5 are this connected group of squares. And if Deli takes either 1 or 3, Seto takes the other, and Deli has nothing for 5. So my goal is to set up so Deli controls 5 as well. That Deli has a serious threat in 5. And I was thinking of doing that with 7-5-6-9. 9-4-9-5 maybe is a better choice, but my thought was... A, I think it sets up Seto's cards a little better, and B, I think that's actually a useful sweeper, because we're so often filling the middle and left columns. So I kind of like 7-5-6-9-8. I am now getting curious, so I am going to set up the solver with these hands, just so we can check when the game is done what's going on. So what were the hands? Seto at 8-5-9-5, 1-8-9-8, 7-7-6-6, 9-8-7-2, 7-4-7-9. Alright, and Deli. Complicated games. I was worried this set would be... I liked the rule set, but it really sort of made me think it was a lot more interesting to see the Midas DJ game, because it was really complicated and I did not really know what was going on. Okay. Deli is the kind of player who can play moves in 8. He does not. He takes the option in 1. Now, I think Seto is going to go 3 now. And I think Seto will probably hold this game. Though, against my move, he probably would too. Alright, I am checking because I was curious. My ideas in 8 were ties, and I won't look at what the evaluation is on Delhi's move because I don't want to know. I want to evaluate for myself. Alright, so let's get rid of that. What do we got here? I think pretty clearly Seto's should play in 3. Like, if the move is not in 3, this is a very tough position to play. I guess you can play 8. 8 locks in a card, and if you... Well, it looks so ugly. There might be a move in 8, but it does look ugly. So I think 3 is probably the way to go. 7766 gives more options for a recapture in 6. 7479 gives up the threat in 5. So both come with some kind of cost. This is a position where I should go into raw calculation mode. But commentating, that seems exhausting and hard to follow. And also, the lines aren't linear, right? It's not like, okay, you go 3, Delhi has to block 5, and we can see a clear path to the end. You go 3, Delhi potentially has moves everywhere, right? Like, he could potentially play something like 7, 5, 6, 9, and 9, right? And that sets up pluses in both 6 and 8. And something like that is going to be tricky to look out. You kind of have to check every move. So that's what Seto is doing right now, is he's checking every move. But I am not going to join him because I am not playing, so I don't have to. Instead, I'm going to see if I've gotten any messages. I have not, sadly. Was hoping to have some other people watching and sending me ideas if they wanted me to mention their thoughts or play off them. So 3's the standard move. 8 locks in a card. I don't think 9 makes much sense here. 9 can be a move in these setups, but 3 is such a valuable square that unless you're explicitly setting up a threat, I don't think you want to let your opponent go in 3 here. So obviously there's not sense in playing 5. You get comboed pretty hard, and I think you just lose. And so I think we're left with 6 as the kind of offbeat try here. What would go in 6? 7479 there is pretty ugly. Amusingly, you can't actually recapture that from 3. 6 does not look like it's a good idea. So I think I'm down to 3 or 8. If you miraculously calculate out 5 to a tie, well done. It does not look like it to me. 7, 4, 7, 9, and 5. Delhi sames, and your cards are just so bad going left. So okay, I think it's got to be 3, right? And it's the logical move. It locks in a card in 2. Let's make sure everything's going well on the recording front. Looks like it. So I would expect Seto to go in 3. But you do have to be careful, right? 7, 4, 7, 9, and 3. A move like what I said, 7, 5, 6, 9, and 9, you have to check pretty carefully. You don't actually have any captures on that card from 6. There is a threatened combo in 6. It's a little scary. Probably not a big deal. You probably block 6, and both your cards now have a threat in 8 that combos back whatever you put in 6. So okay, I don't think that's actually a threatening move. But the point is you have to check moves like it. Has picked up 7, 4, 7, 9. I think we will be seeing it in 3. Nope, we will see it put back down. 7, 7, 6, 6, and 3 gets a card out of your hand that's weaker, but gives Delhi so many more options, and that's just, it becomes harder to calculate out everything, especially if you didn't go into pure calculation mode immediately. I think 5 moves left is really the point where it is very difficult even for the best players to calculate everything. And what they can do is they can say, here's 1 or 2 critical moves, and I will calculate everything from there. But if they had to calculate all 15 possible moves, I think no one's actually doing that. And I think that is not really feasible in the time control. So we do see the expected move in 3. And now the question is, did this happen to lose? Probably not. So let's find a tie for Delhi. I don't expect there to be more than that. Score is 5-5. So I always have trouble calculating these positions because if there's no obvious square to start looking, I just freeze up. So let's just like stick a card somewhere. Let's stick 9, 4, 9, 5, and 5. 5, 5. If Seto plays in 8, any move in 8. No, this is a terrible move. Why am I doing this? That's okay. Any move in 8 can be met by 7, 5, 6, 9, and 9, which is going to tie. Either card in 6. Well, 7, 7, 6, 6, and 6 can be met by 7, 5, 6, 9, and 8, and that's a tie. And 9, 8, 7, 2, and 6 wins. All right, 9, 4, 9, 5, and 5. Bad move. We've eliminated one. Very slowly. Of course, wasn't a very appealing move, but as I said, I didn't really know where to start looking here. All right, let's try 7, 6, 8, 6, and 5. It does give our opponent a same in 6, but let's check 8 first. Either card in 8, we should still have a tie with 7, 5, 6, 9, and 9. If they go in 6 with 7, 7, 6, 6, it captures, but we could play 9, 4, 9, 5, and 8 to tie. And if they go with 9, 8, 7, 2, we can play... Oh, we set up them up in 8 as well. That move loses as well. Okay. So we can't play 7, 6, 8, 6, and 5. Alright, well, I'm down to 7, 5, 6, 9. Though it's sure looking like 5 is not the square to play in. Sorry for the slow calculation. I am sort of waking up here. Though it's a bit late for that. But, you know, sometimes we have slow starts. So 7, 5, 6, 9, and 5. Now we potentially just have a problem against 8. Yeah, we do. Okay, so 5 is out of the question. 5 doesn't work. What about we go for the captures? 9, 4, 9, 5, and 6. If they combo us back from 9, they go up 6, 4. And specifically if they do it with 7, 7, 6, 6, we lose. So we can't capture in 6. Huh, this is looking tougher than I thought. Okay, what about the idea I had earlier? 7, 5, 6, 9 in 9. If they go 6 with either card, they do not capture, and we can play 9, 4, 9, 5, and 8, and that just sneaks out a tie. This is harder to tie than I thought. If they go in 5, they will certainly not threaten a capture from 6, so we can go in 8. Oh, if they go in 6, we go in 8 and we win. No, we don't win, because we have to use 7, 6, 8, 6, and that gives them a same. Okay, ignore me. And if we go 9 and they go 8, they flip 9, so they will be up 6, 4. If they do it with 9, 8, 7, 2, we can play 9, 4, 9, 5, and 5. We flip 2, they flip 1 back at the end, that's a tie. They do it with 7, 7, 6, 6. I guess we have a couple options. 9, 4, 9, 5, and 5 is a tie. 9, 4, 9, 5 in 6 is... Is that another tie? I think that's another tie. So weirdly, the only tie I've seen for Delhi is 7, 5, 6, 9, and 9, and that's a pain to play. I mean, it makes some sense. It creates a bunch of threats, but it is also very much a non-trivial move. Because I am lazy and doing ugly right now, let's have the machine tell me. Indeed, there are no ties in 5, there are no ties in 6. The only tying moves are in 8 or 9. But there are a bunch of ties. but must find a move in 8 or 9 here. Very interesting. Yeah, I'd been thinking about 8 a while ago, but sort of once we got here, didn't look at it because it locks in a card for Seto, but that card is most likely going to be locked in anyway. Looks like Delhi has picked up 7569, so I think maybe he's thinking the same way I am, and headed for 7569 and 9. I should turn off the solver and do thinking for myself. I'm going to close that out. I just... Calculating when you have nothing on the line is so much aggravation for so little reward. Oh, I hate when Delhi gets low on time. I don't want him to make a move with like 2 seconds left. He goes 8. Now, I didn't check this. We do know there were ties in 8. Said there were 2 ties in 8, 2 ties in 9. Card is almost safe to Seto's hand. No, it isn't. Alright. So if 9-8-7-2 in 5, Seto goes up 6-4, and Delhi can play 7-6-8-6 and 9. And that ties. Just about. If Seto goes 7-7-6-6 and 5, Delhi can play 7-6-8-6 and 9 again, and that's going to tie. So he does tie against moves in 5. If Seto goes in 6, if he goes there with 7-7-6-6, that makes no sense. If he goes there with 9-8-7-2, that makes no sense. Either way, he doesn't have a double capture in 9, so it can't do anything, essentially. Amusingly, 7-7-6-6 and 6 is safe to 5. So the last square left is 9. 9-8-7-2 there. Nine, 8, 7, 2, and 9? Is 9, 8, 7, 2, and 9 a win? What am I missing? Oh, just 9, 4, 9, 5, and 6, because that captures something, and there is a capture back, but no combo back. And lastly, 7, 7, 6, 6, and 9 is multiple things that can happen, but blocking 5 makes sense. Okay. So I think we got our way to a interesting tie here. Interesting decision by Seto to go in 4. Just, I think he had seen the position after 3 was promising, and it clarified the game. I had sort of dismissed it, but I think it was a nice try there. And Delhi now must find 7, 6, 8, 6 in 9, which you will certainly find. I will in fact type it into my moves in a list in advance. Interesting game. Not sure who got the better here. I think in the end it was Delhi that had to find a complex move. So I guess I would say Seto found advantage here. I like Delhi's second move. I thought he should be pressing after that. But Seto's move in 4, sequence of 4, 1, 3. Sorry. Was really strong. Very good first game. Did a nice job of switching around who I thought was favored move after move. And that's a neat feature of watching strong players, is often every time someone makes a move, you go, oh, that's really good. They have this figured out. And then the opponent makes a move and you go, oh, they have this figured out. That's really good. So, very interesting first game. Not sure if we're going to get another. So I'll send a message. See if they're playing again. Alright, there is a game up again. So I think we are getting at least a second game today. Really happy to see a tie. I was, more than kind of anything else, obviously I am rooting for Delhi to win, but more than anything else, I was rooting for a match that wasn't just immediately over. Alright, while we wait for that to get taken, I guess we'll watch a close game. Fascinating, right? Probably the least interesting background board. Certainly a traditional one. Nemesis Divina did make the quarterfinals of this tournament. Was knocked out by Delial in the last round. And is the game taken? I was gonna set up. It is taken. I was gonna set up stuff to pass the time, and like between games, or kind of if there was downtime where I had nothing more to say and needed stuff to talk about. I was gonna do that last night. I did not do it, so we have no exciting stuff set up for my excellent video content, but that's okay. Guess we'll talk a little more about Delial and Seto. Seto, in my ELO rankings, has spent more time rated the #1 player on the site than any other player in the history of Triple Triad Advance. Delial has won the most different types of tournaments than any player ever. He won his first tournament. He won, I think his first was an SE, a special edition tournament. Then he won in some order, I think a Triad Wars, then another special edition. So that second special edition is wasted for counting different types of tournaments won. He then won like 4 TTN tournaments, so he gets a TTN tournament on the resume. He then wins a Rhinoa, and finally grabs a site championship. I believe it might have been the last site championship. We can check that. If so, he might technically be the reigning site champion, though it might be Acelon. I think he won 12. Yes, Deli defeats Yojimbo in the finals. Beats Kazdon on the way too. Strong run. But is not our technically current reigning site champion. That would be with a win over the mighty Slash of Time in the finals. We have Acelon. I guess technically, you know, site championship is gone. But if there was one, Deli was the second most recent. Now, Deli has informed me he's sticking with the same hand. So we won't be seeing a change there. We will potentially be seeing a change from Seto. I have no idea if Seto is a hand changer. Just none. I've played him once in a tournament, and I think it was over in one game. And so I have no read on what he does. I do think Deli likes to stick with a hand a couple times. Feel it out a little. And I think that's usually reasonable, unless it went, you know, just abhorrently. But this one it went fine, and he definitely had other tools to fight the starter in 2 if he faces it again. I think Seto's starter in 2 was much better than it looked to me. But I probably undervalue side starters. I do not like them. Alright, we got a rematch. And Seto has changed. Okay. So Seto has switched to the double 8-9-8 hand. Seto so far has completely avoided 9-9s. That's quite interesting. Really gives a sense of instinct. Seto's going first, and again, Seto looks built to play a side starter. 8, 5, 5, 9, and 6, I think, is the plan here. This is interesting. I had no idea Seto liked side starters this much. This is not to be like, I don't like side starters, so this must be bad. This is to say, Seto is a phenomenal player and clearly building these hands looking for side starters. 8, 5, 5, 9, and 6 is both a side starter and potentially one annoying for Deli's hand to meet. Because, as said last time, Deli's hand much prefers an up-down game. And going in 6 very much dictates the game is very likely to be side to side. And this could be tricky for Deli's hand. One move I kind of like in response to that, because I always like moves like this, is it might be a little optimistic. I was thinking a 9-4, 9-5, and 2, with the idea of just pairing 1 and 3, and neither player has 5, and Seto doesn't have 4. So if Seto goes 8, 5, 5, 9, and 6, 9, 4, 9, 5, and 2, Seto takes the square in 3, Deli plays 1, 8, 9, 8, and 1, he has 1 and 2 locked. And it's going to be Seto who potentially has to find a good move there. And it's hard for him to play something like 6-3, 8-9, and 9 because 8-9, 8-2 covers that. Now, because Deli has 8-9, 8-2 in his hand anyway, Seto might be cautious about playing 8-5, 5-9, but I still think the hand is pretty clearly built for it. And even though last time Deli had 1 and 3 covered well after a starter and 2, this is probably similar. So I think I'd be tempted if 8-5, 5-9, and 6 to play 9-4, 9-5, and 2. If Zeal and 6. I think Shiba and 2 makes a lot of sense. And the other point is if Seto doesn't play 3, Deli takes 3, Seto then grabs 1, but 1-8, 9-8, and 1 is covered. But 8-9, 8-2 isn't. So yeah, this probably doesn't work. Okay. I have received a message from Turd, so hopefully we can get commentary. He says, hello, hello. Gonna give Turds a quick recap of Seto went with a side starter game 1. Therefore, I think is likely to go 8-5, 5-9, 6 here. And I do think this is a sort of counter hand of a type. Because he's clearly had multiple hands built with cards he liked, or multiple ideas. Stupid cat. Hopefully you can't hear her meowing. I love my cats, and my parents' cats. I'm at my parents' right now, but they can be annoying. Anyway, so he's picked up 8-5, 5-9. Clearly some hands built for side starters, supported coverage of the nearby squares, and also turning the hand sideways here makes sense against Deli's specific hand, because Deli is using a hand that's more up-down. Again, updating Turds. But yeah, no, I think this is very logical from Seto. This is, Deli has a hand that has a weakness horizontally and a strong vertically. Playing in 2 worked pretty well. Playing in 6 has a decent chance to be a better version of it. Now, the hand is kind of weak going left now, right? The hand has 2 2s to the left. That feels like it should be exploitable, and I think there's a good chance Deli plays very similarly to what he did last game. Right? If he does something like 1-8, 9-8, and 1, just very similar game plan. How does Seto address that card? Not clear, but also 1-8, 9-8, and 1 is probably not that great a move, because it's going to be a side-to-side game, and that uses up just a lot of power for that kind of game. Interestingly, I think going in 3 is less of a side-to-side game. So if Deli went 1-8, 9-8, and 3, this seems good to me. It's hard for Seto to go 8-9, 8-2, and 2, just because that walks into a same in 5. And I think that is difficult to walk into. Like, just feels scary. And there's also stuff like Deli can potentially go 9 after that. Maybe not. But so 1-8, 9-8, and 3. If Seto goes in 9, Deli either has the chance to block in from 2 or can go in 8 himself. If Seto goes in 2, it looks difficult. It also does capture 6, which lowers Seto's options on a recapture, right? Because it means 1-8, 9-8, and 9 is probably not happening because you kind of need to flip 6 back. And 6-3, 8-9 is probably not happening. Yeah, I think 6-3, 8-9 doesn't make sense. So 1-8, 9-8, and 3, 6-3, 8-9, and 9, 8-9, 8-2, and 8, 8-9, 8-2, and 5 flip some things back, but not that much. And 3 is going to be safe at the end there, as is 9. I think I think 1898 and 3 is pretty promising. I think the most likely response is 898, or is probably 9872 and 9. Just grabbing at least a card back. But that looks scary, right? That looks scary. I think it's probably not losing though. But it is an easy move to feel scared of making, and if it's the only save, it's a hard move to make. Though notably, I have had a bunch of positions against Delhi with similar positions, feeling like I got a good random, I played a nice move, and Delhi plays a move, meeting a move like 1898 and 3 with 9872 and 9. So it's very much within the wheelhouse of these players. And Seto is very comfortable with both strength and weakness. Very low numbers and very high numbers. So 1898 and 3 is my main line. I think 1898 and 1 is, despite using the same card to a similar effect, I think more locks in the game's going to be side to side. Because something about 1898 and 3 is if that column fills up 3, 6, and 9, there's more squares touching up and down than touching side to side. And the game actually often ends up being, more of an up-down game, even though it's certainly directed to the right. Left power loses a lot of value, but really becomes this up-down type game. While if you go 1898 and 1, I think just looking at the squares that are empty, there are more side-to-side interactions left. And one's more relevant to the play. So I do think if you want to stop the game from being side to side, going in 3 or 9 is one of the better ways to do so, and one of the reasons that 3 and 9 are the main replies to side starters, I think, is they mitigate a bunch of what it's trying to do. And I know a lot of people who play side starters are just hoping for kind of 3 or 9 because they can play in the other one and they lock back in that card in 6. But then it all becomes about who has the L, and the L is not as dependent on side-to-side stuff. So I think if Delhi does go somewhere like 3, Seto's idea of changing the game to side-to-side instead of up-down will be somewhat mitigated in effect. I'm sure there's many moves I have not looked at here that are plausible, but I think corners are on average the best starter, or the best replies to side starters. I think there is not enough synergy in the hands that I would be really looking at 5. Again, Delhi sometimes plays opposite sides, but those aren't making sense to me here. I looked a bit at what I thought was the most logical adjacent side in 2, but I didn't think it was that strong. So I'm left with that. Interestingly, Turds is also on 1898 and 3. But he feels it is too obvious. Now, I don't know about this. I think, interesting he's looking at 7, 6, 8, 6, and 2. But yeah, I think it gives Seto the square as well, and that makes it not so strong. I think obvious moves are good. I think people should make more obvious moves. So Delhi goes with the other move I was considering. I did not like this as much, but I do think it is a good move. But I do think it accepts more of the side-to-side issue, which is sort of why I was put off it. I think it's easy to end up in a situation where you're holding 9495 and 7686 at the end, and they're just really weak cards on the bottom row, and you're left more punishable by sweepers. On the other hand, let's look at Seto's hand. Can he ever have a bottom row sweeper? The answer is kind of no, right? He has no card that is good left, right, and up. And so it is very difficult, unless the combos line up, which there's no reason at this point to think they will, to see a sweeper there. I was actually thinking maybe a better version of this was 9495 and 1, Um, with just the point that we hold on to 1898, and I think that's a better card. 9495, interestingly, does have random combo potential in 9, which is pretty powerful. So I'm not saying that absolutely definitively. Another nice thing this stops is it prevents 1898 in 3. On the other hand, I was going to say, what about 1898 in 9? Because Delhi doesn't have a good way to take it. 8982 is comboed back. But actually, Delhi does have a good way to take it. He can play 7686 and 3. And that combos through. Is 8559 Queen Zeal? What is this card? Open image in new tab. Queen Zeal. Yeah, there we go. Been a long time since I played Chrono Trigger. Yeah, so Turd's pointing out 3 and 9 aren't clean replies. And Seto's hand is still more up-down than side-to-side. Even if, like, 8982's point is sweeping side-to-side, it obviously is more... Or sweeping to the right, it obviously has more net power going up and down. And that's true of 6389 as well, and that's certainly true of 9872. And Delial, by playing on the top row, certainly weakens 1898, right? It wants to see targets on the bottom. So my instinct was 3, but I think this is a good move. Turds is asking about the capture in 2, which is very interesting, because that's how Seto clarified last game, and found a nice plan. Now, to me, 2 is less desirable than it was before, right? Delhi still has 4. It sets up both players in 5. And he's saying... Ooh, you know what's interesting, though? Imagine Seto goes like 6, 3, 8, 9, and 2. Delhi sticks something in 3, say 9, 4, 9, 5. We have this spot where both players have 5, but if Delhi ever occupies 5 with 8, 9, 8, 2, Seto potentially has 1, 8, 9, 8, and 4, comboing some stuff back. The Delhi potentially has either of the 7-up cards and 7 at the end. Turd started to look at 1, 8, 9, 8, and 9, but thinks the plus wall in 3 is too good for Delhi. I agree. The more I look at this move, the more I think it is hard for Seto to find a clear answer. And unlike the move that was my preference, it directs the game leftward. And Seto has 2 cards that are pretty dead going left. My move potentially left 6, 3, 8, 9 kind of dead. Hard to find a square for it, but this move probably... I thought it gave up more power, but it also might play better against Seto's hand. I still wonder, though, if 9495 was a good way of doing this in the same square. Because the 4 to the right is actually not that much weaker than the 8. The difference is only that 1898 of Seto's could capture it, and that is combo vulnerable. So I do wonder if 9495 in 1 was a better version. Not sure at all, but just a thought. Seto needs to find, I think, a path to clarity here. Either that or complications, which is very much, Seto needs to do one of the possible options of sports commentary, where, you must score to win the game, right? Really meaningless commentary, platitudes. But either there's some way to clarify, like he did last game, where he goes 2, 3 gets blocked, 9 gets blocked, we have a clear position where he's found a way to put pressure on Delhi. And I don't see it. I don't see clarification. Of course, I didn't see his move last game. I dismissed it too quickly. But I don't see a clear path. Therefore, maybe he is going to end up with synergy setup type plays like 1, 8, 9, 8, and 5. But, I'm so skeptical of that. So skeptical of that. It does set stuff up, though. 8, 9, 8, 2 might be great at the end of the game. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Oh, Turds mentions 9, 8, 7, 2, and 5, which is probably a better card to put in 5. As you're going to go. Yeah, that looks like the better version. Yeah, 9872 is kind of. Turds points out he hasn't mentioned it in a single line he's said, and I don't think I've mentioned it either. So finding a way to use 9872 with some effect seems quite powerful. So I like the look of 9872 and 5 visually. It is tricky that it has high numbers facing up and down, and Delhi has combos on Seto's starters from both 3 and 9. And maybe that was a good reason to play in 1, to leave 3 and 9 unoccupied. Alright, Seto goes creative. We have gone off the beaten path. Well, this just got different. But what I wanted to say was, often when you have one of these starters, if they have combos in both squares, it doesn't feel that important because you expect them to get blocked up. But here, it really is tricky for Seto to put cards in 5 after, because Delhi does have those combos, and they can sort of cards played in other squares, Delhi combos at the end, it all goes bad. Alright. So the obvious move to play here is 2. Right? The no thought, what is the automatic move type, is definitely 2. And Turds points out there's no capture in 4, so just block it and set yourself up for a plus in 5. Give a use for 9872. I'm not entirely sure 9872 is a use, but it might. It might. So 2's the obvious square. There's a bunch of things that could be done in 2. Also, 7, 5, 6, 9, and 3 is safe. And that makes it a pretty clearly appealing move. Delhi also has the plus in 5. Both players have pluses in 5. I think Turds is a bit more optimistic about this move than I am. I think this is bad. I think it was a tough situation, and I think this is not likely to be the way out. In my experience, these moves tend not to be. Now, I had a position like this, I think in a chat tournament final against Akiyama, and I looked at 2 and couldn't get it to work. And I had really appealing options in 7, and I couldn't get them to work. And they had no threat in 2, and I ended up just blocking 5. And it did work, and I think it was a good move, but it took me a while to find, because all the kind of safe tempting options didn't work. So maybe, given that I've now seen both Akiyama and Seto play this kind of move type, maybe it's better than I give it credit for. But I am skeptical. I'm really skeptical here. I think this is very much Delhi's chance to push. So Turds is now talking about 7, 5, 6, 9, and 3. And he points out that if so, Seto will have 9, 8, 7, 2, and 7 as a safe option. It's a good point. If it was taken immediately, what would happen? He's given up all up. So Delhi can play literally any card in his hand at that point in 2. He has a huge threat in 5. So let's say he plays 9, 4, 9, 5, and 2. So our line is 7, 5, 6, 9, 3, 9, 8, 7, 2, 7, 9, 4, 9, 5, 2. Seto has a tie there. 6, 3, 8, 9, 5. Okay. Can we adjust it so that tie doesn't exist? We can. If we hold on to 9, 4, 9, 5, that will have a threat in 9 to combo lots of stuff. So if we start with 7, 5, 6, 9, 3, Seto goes 9, 8, 7, 2, 7, and we play 8, 9, 8, 2, and 2, then anything in 9 is going to lose to 7, 6, 8, 6, and 5. Anything in 8 is also going to lose to that. So Seto must block 5 there. And anything in 5 is beaten by 9, 4, 9, 5, and 9. So if 7, 5, 6, 9, and 3, 9, 8, 7, 2, and 7 is not the save. is my contention. I can always be wrong. I miscalculate all the time. But I think fundamentally what's happening there is Seto has one safe card and Delial achieves like 3. And so it's very unlikely to have a result. Now Turds is on 8, 9, 8, 2, and 2. Lock in 1, set up the threat in 5. He thinks it leads to a tie. I haven't really looked at this. I'm gonna say the line I calculated. So I'm on 7, 5, 6, 9, and 3 just because the one line I've looked at looked promising. Another key variation there is 6, 3, 8, 9, and 2 after we go 3, capturing. But it just feels like the combo back must be devastating. And specifically, I think we... It's a little tricky because Seto has 9, 8, 7, 2, and 7 at the end. Yeah. That gets messy. Oh, that gets messy. Maybe that holds. Maybe that holds. Because once Seto takes in 2, Deli, if he combos back, even if it's with 8, 9, 8, 2, which doesn't flip 4, the combo flips 2, flips 1, flips 4, and then Seto has 9, 8, 7, 2, and 4. So Deli goes 3, Seto goes 2. Deli, let's say, goes 8, 9, 8, 2, and 5. If Seto goes in 7 immediately, he's still down 6, 4. But 1, 8, 9, 8 is a good enough side-to-side sweeper. He ties there. But even if he didn't go there immediately, maybe he could delay a turn and start in 9. I think there's a chance that holds. I'm really not sure. Alright. Deli has run down the clock, as is his wont. Multiple appealing options. He picks up 7, 5, 6, 9. He plays it in 3. This was my preferred move, the move I spent the most time on. I think it is very promising. I have not seen a tie. 6, 3, 8, 9, and 2 is complicated and might work. Um, 3 was also Turds' first instinct. And Deli's Deli's chosen move. So I think this is, regardless of whether it converts, I think the first game Seto did a fantastic job clarifying a position into one where Deli had to be careful, and it was surprisingly awkward. Here, I think clearly the question is, can Seto tie? And there's a whole lot of moves that potentially could. Turds had missed the combo chain that if 6, 3, 8, 9, and 2, not to be like, oh, Turds missed it. Obviously, neither of us are calculating full strength. But it is weird because 6, 3, 8, 9, and 2, you kind of think, okay, I don't want to flip everything. I don't want to flip 4, so I'll do it with 8, 9, 8, 2, so that doesn't plus 4, like 7, 6, 8, 6 would. But the combo loop does flip 4. And so it is really tricky to not flip 4 if you don't want to. Which makes this a quite curious position. Yeah, Deli does hold the top row then. It is a good point by Turds. I do think that does win. But I think you have to hold on to 8, 9, 8, 2. I think 6-3, 8-9, and 2, 8-9, 8-2, and 5, 9-8, 7-2, and 7 is a tie. Maybe it's not. 9-4, 9-5 still is captures. All right, this looks very dangerous. I still don't. I think 7 loses. I think 2 loses. So we're left with 5, 8, and 9. It is very difficult to imagine 5 doesn't lose. Just very difficult to imagine, especially because anything in 5 is vulnerable to combos from 9. Alright, Seto playing quickly, though. Has he just seen something? What has he seen that we have not? He's picked up 9, 8, 7, 2. Now, I don't think that can go in 7. And I suspect it can't go in 2. Right, something just like 9, 4, 9, 5, and 5, that looks ridiculous. I suspect it can't go in 5. So is he going in 8 or 9? Maybe 9? Interesting. This is really a difficult position for Seto. Delhi has too many free cards. If there is a save, it's tough. I'm gonna start setting up the solver bot thing to look at this position because I'm very curious. So here we saw 8, 5, 5, 9, 8, 9, 8, 2, 1, 8, 9, 8, 9, 8, 7, 2, and what was the last card? 6, 3, 8, 9. Because I want to know after, did Seto find a miracle tie? You know, was there something here? Is there something here? I don't know. Turds feels like maybe something wacky in 8 is coming. He's put it down. So what I think happened here was he thought 9, 8, 7, 2, and 7 might work. And it does not. Though I'm forgetting the variations at this point. This is really tough position. Certainly seen Seto save positions that looked worse. But I think, like, I don't know. I think in these setups, just going in 4, I've never seen it be good. But I have now seen good players play it a bit. So maybe I'm mistaken. I know there's sequences, like, there's a legitimate sequence of, like, starting in a side, they play next to it, and then you play in the far side. And it looks weird, but there's reasons for it. And this is the same basic setup from a different move order. But I'm skeptical. Really tough position. Again, I kind of think of this as 50% Delhi wins, 50% Seto holds the tie. And this is only because Seto is a miracle worker. Most matchups, I would be considering this far bigger advantage. Yeah, Turds thinks that feels like the oh shit moment where you have a few minutes left and you think you have a tie and you realize that isn't a tie and now you have to scramble. And this is really difficult position. I now do think Delhi's move 1, 8, 9, 8, and 1 was much better than my move. You know, credit to him. Very strange game. Good game. Good game. Nice example in both games of Delhi finding pressure against a side with a far corner, but I think in the first one, Seto neutralized it incredibly well, and in this one, he couldn't find a way to neutralize it. It is tricky that, essentially Seto has set up Delhi to have lots of combo squares, right? Delhi has 9, 4, 9, 5 for 9, which seems kind of random and unimportant, but has really mattered. And Delhi has 7, 6, 8, 6 for 5. Alright, we have a move. Not a move I considered. It is safe. That's something. And there is that combo back in 7. There is that combo back in 7. On the other hand, there's nothing for 5 now. So if Delhi goes like 9-4-9-5 in 7, nine four nine five and 7. So Delhi would go up 6-4. If Seto blocks 5 with 6-3-8-9, Delhi can just play 8 and he wins. If Seto blocks 5 with 9-8-7-2, then Delhi can play 7-6-8-6 and 9, and he wins. No, he doesn't win. 9-8-7-2 and 5 is a save there. Oh, what a miracle. Okay, okay. I see you. 9-4-9-5 and 7, 9-8-7-2 and 5. What a tie. Huh. Okay. Alright. 8-9-8-2 and 7. This is my second idea. If 6-3-8-9 and 5, then 9-4-9-5 and 8 wins. If Shiva and 5 again, this time Delhi can play, because we've saved 9-4-9-5, so we're going 8-9-8-2 and 7. If 9-8-7-2 and 5, we can go 9-4-9-5 and 9. That's going to combo, so it's going to flip 2 cards, go up 7-3. 6-3-8-9 only takes something back. 8-9-8-2-7, if it's met by 6-3-8-9 and 8, then 7-6-8-6 and 5 is just death. Yeah. So that's going to lead 7-3, and 9-8-7-2 only takes one thing back. If 9-8-7-2 and 8, that can't be anything. If 9-8-7-2 in 9, that loses to 7-6-8-6 and 5. And if 6-3-9-8-9, no, that still loses to 7-6-8-6 and 5. I thought it set up. Yeah. So I think 8-9-8-2 and 7 is a win. There might be other wins, but I think Delhi has done it again. As he so often does. It's very frustrating. Alright. Well, that's not what I was thinking. Did not consider this at all. I mean, it looks pretty good, right? It still has 9-4-9-5 ready to go. In 9. But now, what if Seto just blocks? No, what if Seto just blocks? I'm so confused. I'm so confused. Alright, we're gonna bring up the solver here. I don't see it. I feel like Seto can just go 9 here. Oh, Delhi misclicked. Oh, that hurts so much. Oh my god. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal. Yeah. Oh, that hurts so much. I mean, I brought up the solver to check. 7-6 and 8-6 and 9, which is the move he meant to play, does win. So does my move of 8-9-8-2. Oh, that. Oh. Oh, that hurts my soul. Well. Jesus. Um, yeah. Well, Delhi was winning. His move won. My move won. There were other wins. And then he misclicked. Uh, in shock. In shock. Oh, that hurts so much. Well, I guess the match continues. Delhi played great, and now there's more. Free basketball, as they say when it goes to overtime. Uh, Alright. He's out on his laptop. I don't know what. Has this happened before? I'm sure it has. I don't remember it happening in anything of significance. This is a semi-final, the greatest rivalry of all time, and we just got a match continued by a misclick. And what can you say? What can you say? I don't know if they're continuing now. They may not. They may be. I suspect they aren't. Um, I have no takeaways. Delhi played great. I think Seto played the first game really, really well. Side starters are bad. We have established it. I'm being mostly facetious. I I don't understand. I mean I do, but like I'm having trouble coping. Uh I should confirm whether they're gonna keep playing, but I also feel bad asking someone who just had this happen to them to give me info. He had 150 seconds on the clock. Oh, 200 maybe, something like that. Man. Um yeah, so I should ask. I have not seen the like. Just wild. Um I think we're probably stopping here. And yeah. So we are stopping. And Delhi Hall's generosity of spirit has shown through in the end. Uh, I think this match coming in was incredibly close to 50-50, just basically a coin flip. It is now back to a coin flip, and uh, it should have been over, but I'm going to feel so bad for Delhi if this goes wrong now. And I think I think we all will. Um, yeah, weird note to end on. Uh, I think I will be playing my game later today. I will try to avoid misclicks. Oh, what a nightmare. Cheers all.